Good morning. Welcome to another episode of The Conversation here on TOS TV Network. And you already know I'm bringing you the show from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. My name is Ade. Today on The Conversation, we're also going to be looking at, talking basically about young people's, Nigerian youth relevance in politics as of today and what can be done moving forward. And to join me in having that conversation here in the studio is Alhaji Adamu Garba, APC 2023 presidential candidate. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you. Now let's get into it. I think off camera we're talking and I was saying that the road preceding 2023 election is becoming really dramatic, and a lot of people would have thought that we would have a lot more young people participate in politics despite the deterrent and all of that, especially because of what we saw during the NSANS and the agitation, that we would think that we'll see a lot more participation, but there's a whole lot dwindling interest with young people as of this point. So what do you think that is?
Yes, what's happening is that the major political parties have craftily brought in the young people as the frontline drivers in the way they run the affairs of the country prior to this period that we are today. So every activity they do in terms of campaign, in terms of organization, in terms of conferences, seminars, you see young people at the front line. But immediately they started organizing themselves, I mean the elites, around the 2023, there is this tactical exclusion of the young people. So the young people that are within the party, that are gingering those outside the party with hope, were also dashed out of the system. They were parked, I used to call them mushroomed and dustbined out of the party. So with this, they have no more flair to talk about party politics, to talk about participation, so they went silent. And those that are outside the party system, now that they lost their shining lights within the party structure, they also decided to stay off. So this is actually the scenario that is being playing now.
Okay, I'm going to draw from your personal experience. I know you're one young Nigerian that has been actively involved in the political scene. You stayed relevant, and then you're really very outspoken about your views and, in connection with politics in Nigeria. Going by your experience, what would you say that a lot of young Nigerians don't know, and that has kept you, in the scene up until now?
You see, I believe definitely that there is this strategic attempt to organically shut down the young people from understanding politics, policies, and governance.
Okay.
It is deliberate plan by the political elite to ensure that young people don't understand the value of political power by showing it as a corrupt, dirty, confused environment, and so impossible for people to just get in one time and be what they are. Like even the Tinubu they see today, if they cannot jump from here to be Tinubu straight, or jump together to be Buhari straight, they have no game to play there. They should stay out. Unknown to the young people that all the major political players of today have started somewhere, and they understood the game and they play the game the way it should be played. So I took it personally as a responsibility to show the young people that this is actually very possible. You can actually be among them. You can play along. You can understand the game. And then keep orienting the young people, because once they see you close to political power or political interest or participating in politicking, they usually see you as somebody that is pro-elite, that are sent to come and just use them. Or somebody that should not be trusted. So this is the issue. So what we do is you absorb the pain, you absorb the blame, you absorb the insult, you absorb the stigma, but at the same time you continue to drive, because it's a generational issue, and that generational divide have to be fixed, and you have to be a bridge. So in the process where you have to be a bridge, of course, you are going to affect the elders. They are not happy with you too, because you are trying to expose some of the things that they are doing that, and showing how simply the game can be. And you're also mainstreaming the young people for their future. So that's exactly how I do to stay relevant. I just took it as a responsibility. Whatever that may happen, fine. But I'm still here. It has to work. We have to find our way in. We have to fix it. If we don't do it, nobody can do it for us.
So you've been able to find a balance between all of that?
Yes, that's exactly what I've been trying to do.
So do you think maybe being adequately informed or knowledgeable about maybe things and policies that boost development and encourages development also helps?
A lot. Like, sometimes when you look at young people's responses to political actions, you can see the naivety. Sometimes you go to somebody's profile, you see he's a PhD holder in one of the most prestigious universities in the world, but he just don't understand anything about politics or governance in Nigeria. So it shocked you. It's like, what's happening? So with this kind of thing, you can see the danger of your future.
Okay.
Because if people can go to study to have PhDs and still don't understand anything about politics or governance, then there's this huge gap that those elderly people, 75, 80, when they leave the scene, you have a huge generational bridge that you have to fix. Okay, so the best solution is to keep orienting them, keep showing the way, keep giving the hope.
Yeah.
I believe that's the best way out.
Okay, so I'm going to quote something that you tweeted, I think a while ago. You said the elites are fighting for one another, while the youth are envious and despising one another. So would you say that one reason young Nigerians are still not very relevant in political scene or don't understand how things run in that scene is because they've still not figured out who and what the competition is?
Yes, there is this high level of mistrust between politicians and the general public, especially the young people. So with that, any young man that become part of the political cycle, the young people will see that person as pro-elite and anti-them. So you automatically become a dark guy. Okay. Meanwhile, you have no constituency except them. Okay. But they are now painting you dark. Okay. So when you come to the elite, you don't even have considerable value because the same people that are supposed to follow you are now castigating and despising you. Yeah. You know, some due to, as I mentioned, maybe envying and all those kind of... Yeah. So we don't need that kind of thing in our political leaders. Just look at what happened. President Goodluck Jonathan, I think I make that reference.
Yes, you made that reference, yes.
Joined APC. Yeah. I don't know whether he picked the form or not, although he rejected it. Yeah. You know, but again, it means that for them, it is a one thing. APC built its own empire on castigating President Goodluck Jonathan. Yes. And the same APC now is lobbying Jonathan to come in, you know, as we head to 2023 election. So it means between themselves is a politics of getting the power and then sharing it among themselves and continue to control. Meanwhile, between ourselves is a politics of bring him down syndrome, attack him syndrome. Since we can't attack the big guy, this is a smaller guy that look like us, that talk like us, that behaves like us. He's the target. Let's deal with him. And this is the issue we have to stop. Once we identify a shining light from among them, trying to do the politics, when we give him encouragement and a push, that's the only way we can be able to penetrate the system. Because once a young man is part of the system, it means he has no people to work with except young people. He thinks differently, he acts differently, he relates differently, he leverages on different kind of tools to be able to administer his system. Meanwhile, the old people don't do that. So at the end of the day, there will be systematic, you know, kind of change in the system by transiting these old people away from the system and then mainstreaming the young people into the system. Okay. Yeah, so that's why I posted that tweet, that we shouldn't be attacking one another. We should find a way to work for one another because we have no future except what we build ourselves. Okay. So that's
okay, great. And this brings me to I think you have a youth for youth movement.
Yes.
What is that about, and why at a time when a lot of people feel like Nigerian youths are not ready?
I don't think there's any youth in the whole of Africa. I don't think, maybe even globally, that is as ready as Nigerian youth. Oh. The only thing is that they don't have opportunity to sit on the front line and drive the vehicle towards the destination for which they want the world to be. A Nigerian youth is very critical of something wrong in Nigeria and very appreciative of something right somewhere. Yeah. So it means that if something right is being done here, Nigerian youth will be the most appreciative. And when the Nigerian youth have opportunity to be able to do these things right and they are doing it, it shows very clearly that we may have a better country in the future. So why can't we mobilize ourselves among ourselves? Let youth be for youth. Let the young woman be for young woman, the young man be for young man, and the young child be for young child. Let us support one another. Since the elderly class have come together and they have shown us very clearly, in PDP we have seen it, in APC we have seen it, over time we have been seeing this cycle keep repeating itself. There will be a huge fight, a huge attack, but once there is a win, there is a coming together again and sharing about young people for young people too. So it's all about this flair of generational change because the whole world is changing. We are getting into 21st century. And we have between now to 2045 to reshape Nigeria to align properly for the remaining part of the century.
Okay.
If we're mistaking it now, we will lose it completely. We've lost it in the 19th century by exporting slavery.
Okay.
We lost it in the 20th century by exporting only oil. Now that the world has shifted to service economy, to a lot of technological economy, we're also like technically losing it simply because the elderly class that are ruling the country understand nothing other than the oil economy. Meanwhile, the economy have shifted away from the oil economy to something different,
yes.
to technologically driven quantum computing, renewable energy, transportation, communication, and energy, internet infrastructure. That's how the world is moving. But unfortunately for us, we are still caged into that oil system simply because the people ruling the country understood nothing other than the 20th century economy of oil. And it's a huge gap. Okay. So until we deliberately shut down our emotions and accept whatever nasty attack that is coming towards us in the interest of shaping this future that will work for us, then we will all lose it. My children that I'm giving birth in this world may end up having no leaders, and it's going to be a very serious issue.
Okay.
You see, look at the strategic direction our government is taking. We have seen the crisis in Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
A lot of dramas is taking place around energy crisis. We didn't recalibrate well. We are jumping towards Europe. It's good to jump towards Europe because you want to get more money, but it's also good not to injure Russian interests.
Okay.
Why? Because Russia is in our backyard and Europe is not here. Russia is in Mali, Russia is in Burkina Faso, in Guinea-Conakry, in Central African Republic. All of them share our borders. When you injure them by trying to neutralize the pressure they are putting on Europe by giving Europe energy without having your Russian interests, you are in trouble. So all those things we need to look at it. Like our president today, I think yesterday, was in Cote d'Ivoire signing some agreement around climate change. Yes, there is climate change issues. Yes, we have to solve climate change issues. But how does that affect our chances of generating the necessary electricity or energy that we need to power the country? How does that change that? We have coal in Enugu, we have coal in Anambra, we have in Kogi, we have in Gombe, Nasarawa State. Are we signing agreement that will stop us from extracting this coal to generate our electricity? But why do we extract the coal to export to China and United States? Meanwhile, they are the major drivers of the so-called renewable energy. Why are we at rush when we have between now to 2063 to be able to balance of these things? And we are rushing to sign agreement that will deny us opportunity to generate electricity, to power our infrastructure, and power our economy, and power our growth. So these are the gaps that are in the system. But it has to happen because the current leaders want to sell oil and gas. So whatever agreement they can give to Europe, they will sign in the interest of selling oil and gas. And this is the problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we're actually out of time, but I have to bring you back another time so we can continue this conversation, especially in the areas of the economy of Nigeria. Right. Thank you so much for joining me on the conversation this morning and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank
I appreciate time.
And thank you for staying with me up until now in the conversation. Do not forget, I'll be back here same time, same channel tomorrow. But before then, follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. It's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube. That's the channel on YouTube. And of course, to my website, www.tostvnetwork.com for news, stories, and happenings from across the world. Thank you again. My name is Adamu, and see you again tomorrow.